Amendment to Energy and Water
The
Appropriations.
clerk will suspend. The gentleman will explain.
There we go.
I don't know why yours should. Mine isn't.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, there's a catastrophe going on in the United States, in my home state of California, in the Central Valley of my state, which is the breadbasket of the United States. Our vegetables, our fruit and vegetables in many parts of the year comes from the Central Valley of our state. This is a catastrophe not necessarily imposed by nature, but by man. We have communities in the Central Valley that have up to 50% unemployment right now. The state of California's unemployment up to 11%, but the Central Valley's, the entire valley is up to almost bumping up to 20%. In certain communities like Modoc, 50% unemployment. I know Mr. Nunes is here, Mr. Costa, Mr. Cardoza, Mr. Radonovich primarily represent the Central Valley. They're going through a very difficult time along with their constituents, and that's the reason I brought this amendment. Thousands and thousands of people every day are lining up at food banks. Food banks are running out of food right here in the United States. It's been up on the news. I'm sure many of you have seen this. It's something that we need to do something about. My amendment addresses the ongoing water crisis in California and the urgent need for this committee to be called into action on this issue. At a town hall meeting in Fresno last week, Interior Secretary Salazar said, when a community is suffering the way this community is suffering, all parties must come together and work in good faith to find a solution. Now, I do commend the Department of Interior. They've taken some good steps to try to help. There's things that are trying to be done to help fix this problem. In December of 2007, however, a judge ordered the Department of Interior to draft a new biological opinion affecting water project operations in the Bay Delta to help a threatened fish species called the Delta smelt. In total, the federally imposed water restrictions result in a loss of nearly 1/3 of the water supply for 25 million Californians. Water rates are skyrocketing in Los Angeles, San Diego, and throughout Southern California as a result. Mandatory water rationing may be required in the state of California, and a state that you may have read about is already experiencing economic problems. Mr. Chairman, I know you believe that this should be handled by the authorizing committee jurisdiction, and frankly, I agree with you. I used to be the chairman of that committee. And unfortunately, that committee is unable to act. The members from our state are left with no other option other than try what other means necessary to help our state in this time of crisis. If we were talking about any other state, we were talking about the automobile industry earlier here tonight, which certainly is having economic difficulties. The farming industry in my state is a total freeze right now. 500,000 acres are out of cultivation. 500,000 acres. Total communities are shuttered down. All the storefronts out of business. Farm implement companies out of business. Seed companies out of business. I've been told that the highest suicide rate in the United States is in the Central Valley right now. This is something we need to work on right away. And that's why I brought this amendment up, Mr. Chairman. I would hope to get the support of the committee to move this thing forward.
Pastor.
Mr. Chairman, I rise in opposition to this amendment offered by Mr. Calvert. The amendment seeks to limit the implementation of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service biological opinion in the Central Valley at the reclamation at both the state and federal level. The bill says that California will be prohibited from engaging, and so the Bureau of Reclamation is clearly under the jurisdiction of this committee, but the state of California is not. The amendment prohibits restrictions of operation in both the state and federal projects if such restriction would result in levels of export less than the historical maximum level of export. Since we don't know what that historical level is, we don't know the effect. And this particular amendment was offered on the floor during the Interior, and it failed. And I'll yield to the chairman.
Well, again, have the greatest respect for the gentleman from California who serves on the Interior Appropriations Committee. But I think in this case, we would be, through a legislative amendment, overturning the Endangered Species Act and negating a biological opinion, which is critical to the preservation of salmon, and which are important to other endangered species like the killer whale. So I would, this was defeated on the House floor, and I would urge that it be defeated again here in the subcommittee, in the full committee.
Mr. Chairman?
Yield.
I represent the coastal agriculture, which is indeed as big and as important as the Central Valley. And I agree with every economic statement that Mr. Calvert indicated. The problem is the amendment says that in connection with operations of the Central Valley Water and State Water Project, neither the Bureau of Reclamation nor any agency of the State of California operating a water project in coordination with the Central Valley and State Water Projects shall restrict operations of the respective projects pursuant to the United States Fish and Wildlife Service biological opinion. Essentially, the battle in California about water is we have two big industries, the fishing industry and the salmon and anadromous fish that depends on healthy rivers to swim up. Remember the big Klamath? We've shut down the salmon season. So the battle here is do you take this limited water and do you sort of allow both sides to get some, even though it's not enough, or do you just give it to one side versus the other? And that's what this opinion does. So what you're going to do is just raise this issue that, again, agriculture trumps fishing, and it just gets into a big mess. We do have a drought, and the problem is in a drought, you've got to manage it well, and I don't think this is the solution.